So Vic from Down Under Woodworks has put out the Summer Builds Challenge 2021, which is awesome, and he's right, because these challenges do bring us all together. But I can't for the life of me think what I should make. There's got to be some link to what summer means. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of summer is bushfires. I mean, that's been my life and my day job for quite a long time, which of course it's not now. I live in the Dandenong Ranges, which is very prone to bushfires, and we've been lucky. La Nina has given us quite a wet summer, so I haven't had to worry about that too much. Oh, can you hear that? That's the fire siren. That'll probably be Belgrave South. Just take my Vic emergency out. It's the 27th of Feb, 8 PM. I just put the finishing touches on a very important project for a customer for a little girl's birthday that's tomorrow, and it's going to be delivered tomorrow morning. I still haven't done anything for Summer Builds 21. My notification feed's filling up because everybody's uploading their project. I still don't have anything. And then it dawned on me. I mentioned in a previous video that I've been doing a lot of mud kitchens, and it's been the summer of the mud kitchen for me. And this one that I finished tonight is the bee's knees. I've been filming lots of stuff, which I've got sitting in the bank. So I'm gonna go and edit that all together as quickly as I can and get my Summer Builds 21 project out to you tomorrow, Sunday, or what would be today. Nothing like cutting it to the last minute. It's a bit like summer. Summer's never long enough, is it? Let's do it. This was the first mud kitchen that I made where I actually created a design, built the structure, and then went from there. Normally I would build it off a pallet. However, the customer wanted a larger mud kitchen, and I wanted to try some of these design features. So this was the time. The Kreg jig obviously makes it very easy to build frames. So my K5 got a real workout with this. I don't have a lot of clamps, but I do have two of these 1.5 meter long F clamps. They are enormous. I don't use them often, but I tell you, when I do use them, they are an absolute lifesaver. Okay, now let's have a look. And I've just realised I've put it around backwards. Two of those side, let's call them struts. There are two that are different, that look nicer, that are designed for the very left and very right. I've confused the left and the right. Before that glue sets, swap them around. Check square, check square. Okay, so all those pocket screws back in. There we go. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, I continually sand throughout. I do not want to get to the end and find that there's a section that could be reached by little fingers that is rough and splintery. I grabbed a ton of pallets for this job. I made sure I had a really good variety of board widths and thicknesses. When I sand the absolute living joists out of this timber, I'm using anywhere between 100 grit or 120, 150, 180, and it makes it nice and soft, gets rid of the splinters, but you also end up with still a lot of the character that pallet wood gives you. So I didn't film when I put on those outside faces, but you can see now where those boards have gone. So those boards, like almost everything else throughout this project, was put on with exterior grade glue, brad nails and screws. Now I'm lining up the palings for the base, and I'm really not just sort of slapping anything down. I do look for nice character in the timber. I'm selective about the palings that I use. So the sun is about to go down, which means no more cutting, sanding or machinery. So I give the entire thing a good couple of coats of water-based decking oil. I do get quite pedantic sometimes, so I'm cutting out these notches so this base paling will fit snugly around those uprights. I don't recommend doing it like this. So using a fairly standard sized chisel, or modest sized chisel, it's certainly no Dana-made Goliath type chisel. We just clean up those notches. Now hopefully it'll fit. Alright, here we go. It's a little tight on one side. I can clean that up. But that's a good fit. Happy with that. Okay, plenty of glue, and those base palings go down. Plenty of brads, and we have a base, and it looks pretty good. I have this old tin of Jarrah stain, and I give one sloppy coat to all the pieces that I'm going to use for the main bench top, but I give it this coat before I sand the pallet boards. Then when I do go over it with the sander, that's when I start to get all that character. I do the same thing with painted pieces of the mud kitchen, is I paint them prior to sanding, so then the sanding brings a lot of that character out. So I've cut all the boards, I've checked they all fit, and I know that I've got enough. And now comes the sanding. So I've got 180 grit on the sander, and you can see how easily now you get the character out of that timber. This thing's too big to chuck on the floor, so I guess I better get up on the bench with it. Honestly, that brad nailer was one of the best things I've ever bought. Oh, and hey, if there's any tool manufacturers listening to this, can you invent a nailer that holds 2 or 3 different size nails? How good would that be? You know, because 1 minute I only need tiny little 10mm brads, but then all of a sudden you need 50mm brads. Imagine if you could just flick a switch. Geez, that'd be good. Anyway, I'm waffling. Now we've got a bench top, and it's really coming together. Now it's time to install the 3 sinks. I normally use these, little plastic buckets. I found these stainless steel ones in a local shop, and straight away I thought, yeah, I need to use these for this job. They look awesome. Just double and triple checking that everything lines up and looks good. Pretty straightforward, really. Forcing a bit straight through the guts so we can get our jigsaw blade in there, and then just go to town. Oh, check out the pins. And 1, 2, 3, they all fit. Yeah. Just marking and measuring here for the palings that are front facing but at the top, and these are also having a nice little overhang on the edges for aesthetics. And the sanding never stops. I'm also conscious that these can be touched from the back, so I'm sanding every inch of these boards. So the Kreg jig's back, and what I'm making here is what I'm calling a fridge door and my oven door. So all my mud kitchens have come with a door and a small cupboard, and I call it an oven. This one's got 2 cupboards, So it's getting an oven and a fridge. I found these really nice pieces of spotted gum that I had laying around, which will look awesome as the frame for the oven door. So the sanding is never finished. These pieces are going to be what I call the cupboard dividers. So I put sides on the cupboards, our oven and fridge, but I don't fully enclose them. I just feel like you want to let as much light in there as you can. So plenty of glue and brad nails, and I'm just using a spacer here so everything is lined up perfectly. So you'll see 4 of those dividers. What I'm doing now is one long one across the back, which is lined up with the 2 highest dividers. Make it nice and symmetrical. Alright, we're really getting there now. It's time for the top. Plenty of glue, plenty of nails. Use a spacer to make sure that all the boards are nice and even. And then once they're all down, I'll go ahead and screw them. Actually, one thing about summer, no hat, no play. UV rays, skin cancer, be sun smart. Buy an All Sawdust Makers hat, $30, includes postage, and you get a sticker. That's my last sales pitch. Sorry everyone. Where was I? Okay, back up on the workbench. Try not to put my head through the lights. And put this top on. Now it's important if you're using something like a Forstner bit at eye level. Good one, mate. Yeah, don't put safety glasses on. Just squint so hard your eyes are shut. Twit. This is a feature I've been putting in all of my mud kitchens, and these taps you get from like caravan and camping stores, and they're just a pump tap. Fill a bucket with water, place it underneath, pump the top, you've got plenty of water. Okay, so getting these hinges on the doors, you'll see also that I've added those slats to the oven door and a little handle as well. Every modern fridge needs a long black handle. Now the kitchen gets a stovetop. So they've been cut, sanded, painted, sanded, and now glued and nailed. Now the oven needs its controls, lining them up so they look good, and then screwing them in so they're nice and secure, but still spin freely. Another little trick of mine is with these controls, I drill them slightly off center so they're a bit more fun to spin around and play with. And if anyone asks, drilling them off center has been deliberate the entire time. Okay? So my wife came in here and suggested I use little magnetic door latches. I actually happen to have plenty of them lying around, so absolutely fantastic idea. Full credit to Mrs. Sawdust for that one. Oh my god, that's such a good idea. These little chalkboards are such a great little addition. So now we add a little shelf for your chalk and your duster and other little bits and pieces. And we're done. I've added some hooks along the back. I love it. I think it looks great. I've recently been playing around with mica pigments and polyurethane, which is that green glittery finish on those slats at the front of the oven. I think that looks pretty cool. After I filmed this, I actually added a small lip to the front of that shelf in front of the chalkboard. And now it's time for delivery. So that's how I built the Junior Masterchef Michelin star mud kitchen. So the structure, including the exposed parts and the oven door, were all oiled. So all the pieces that were natural timber or painted, I've then gone over and sprayed it with clear coat for an added layer of protection. I'm Ryan from Oz Sawdust Makers. If you liked it, please drop me a comment or throw a thumbs up at me. Thank you, Vic from Down Under Woodworks, for a great challenge, and a big cheerio to all those participating in #SummerBuilds21. See ya.